be a setup for a TRX or suspension trainer row continuous tension set. All right, so this is a concept where we're trying to get as much tension through the fibers that we're using in the given exercise. In this case, it's going to be a row, so we're using all of the muscles around the scapula, the posterior of the shoulder, the spine, all back here. So we want to make sure that we get as much tissue involved during this set. So what we're going to do is, instead of using one variation of the row, we're going to try to run through as many variations, as many angles of the shoulder as we can through each repetition. So what you're going to see throughout this set is that Jose is going to start working through different zones of the row, starting with the shortened range where he's all the way pulled into the TRX, and he's going to work through different zones of the shoulder to involve as much tissue as possible. So let's go ahead and start. As always with the TRX row, the further forward your feet are, the more difficult, the more weight you're going to be holding with your actual back and arms. So make sure that you are at an appropriate length to start. So from here, he's going to go into fully shortened position of his scapula and posterior shoulder muscles, and he's going to start working through the first zone. So if you want to divide this up into thirds or fourth, that would be a great thing to think about. As you see, he's going to start raising and flaring up his elbows, going into abduction of the shoulder, working different tissues. Each one of these angles is going to work slightly different tissues. So the point here is to get as much hypertrophy or as much strength gains through all of these tissues. We're not just limiting ourselves to one variation. We're going to work through as many variations as possible. As he starts failing through this zone, so where he can't get all the way up to that TRX, he's going to start working through the next zone. So let's say that Jose has already failed, which he hasn't, but let's say for the sake of the video that he's already failed. He's going to now move on to the next zone. So he's not going to go all the way back, but now he's working that next zone, and he's still going to flare the elbows, choose different positions. We like to call this searching and loading. So he's just searching for more ways of loading this exercise. This also allows you to take the set further than you would normally be able to, because you're not going to be just working one line of tissue. You want to get as much tissue involved. So let's say Jose fails now through this zone, and he's going to work that last zone, almost lengthening the entire arm. Notice that he's still, to a degree, keeping his scapula together. He's leaving that for last. So once he fails through this zone, he can still get a little bit more out of those scapula, just to get, again, as much tissue involved and take it to real failure, take this exercise and this set to absolute failure, so that we can really call it an effective set. And you shouldn't need more than one set if you're doing this properly.